What is up, Tube users? I am the Stereotypical Gamer, and welcome back to another fantastically fun games for under $15. Today, we're taking a look at a new game that I recently picked up but have been having a blast with, and that is Death in Unison. One of the most interesting things I think about this game is you can play this game either solo or co-op with one other person, and the gameplay playing either is exactly the same. You know, you're going to be playing and doing the exact same things whether you're playing solo or co-op, but the gameplay of playing with another person versus solo makes it feel like an entirely different game altogether. It's really fun and interesting. Basically, how solo gameplay works in this game is you make money by inputting different prisoners, their sentence, and their time serving into this computer screen you see right here. And then you can also make money by cooking different foods for prisoners and sending it off to their cells. And so that's how you make money, and you use the money for different upgrades and stuff like that. And then there's all these different like side tasks that you'll have throughout a day, and they're side tasks, but they need to be done because if you don't do them you die, and the whole kind of goal is to survive each day as they get progressively harder. And it's really fun. I like all the different cues for the different side missions are really well done, and just how to manage everything in solo play is really fun, but then you just take it to a whole different level in co-op, and co-op is really fun in this game. And so because in solo play you have all the information available to you for every single task in the game, it makes it feel more kind of like a Papers, Please gameplay loop where you're just making sure all the stuff is correct and inputting it correctly and hope you get it right and stuff like that. But then when you get into co-op gameplay, you're only getting half the information, so you either have to communicate that information or receive communications for that information from the other player, and that makes it feel more like keep talking and nobody explodes, where you have to just make sure that communication is key for everything and everything is right. And it's just such a good and unique gameplay feel. While it's totally the same, the gameplay is exactly the same in solo and co-op, that communication makes it just a different game entirely, it feels like. And I love how they did the kind of like scary elements to this game. There isn't really anything that like pops out, really loud noise, jump scares or anything like that. It's just all these scary elements are built around suspense. You'll hear a sound, you have to go trigger something, and if you don't trigger it, you're going to get caught and stuff like that. And all of these sounds in this game are just really well done at giving scary elements and making things suspenseful. Like the chains guy, for instance, when you hear the chains, you have to turn off the lights, and just hearing those chains rattle around you while you're in the dark is just so scary, and I absolutely love it. And even though this is a pretty small game and pretty short, like you can complete the campaign either solo or with another person in just a few hours. You could probably do it in the 2-hour time limit that Steam has. It's a really short game, but they packed a lot of lore into it. Like each character in this game has a backstory. The entire prison itself has some intriguing stories like that, and I really love like going in after you complete a day, getting new like messages and reading into the new lore of the new characters that are going to appear in the next day. It's really well done. And another big thing I really like, especially in the co-op, is the communication for the names of prisoners. There is a lot of different names that you can have in the database, and basically you can like kind of auto-fill the names in, but making sure that it's spelled properly, because there's like a bunch of different naming conventions for each first and last name. It makes it really fun to have to communicate specifically how a name is spelled. And I think the best part about having to rely on communication for each task is when someone fails their tasks and ends up dead. There's no way to communicate to them that like you failed and you're dead and stuff like that, so they're just kind of like left in the dark on the other end, and there's really no way to complete like any task. You can't like get any prison info, you can't get any sort of info for cooking stuff like that, and so you're just like left in the dark, and hopefully it's near the end of the day and you can survive, but most of the time you cannot, and it just creates this whole new level of suspense when you don't hear the other person on the other side of the walkie. But there are some things that I don't like about this game, so let's get into some of the bad aspects. I really dislike the pacing of progression through the first couple nights. The first 3 to 4 nights are really slow, and there's really no threat of dying at all. Basically you're just putting in inputs, and as long as you're putting in the inputs correctly or communicating the inputs correctly, there's really no threat at all, and it's really easy, and you can practice it's kind of feels like practice rounds and stuff like that, but you can practice before clocking in for the day, so you don't have to worry about practicing or getting stuff wrong. You can know what you're supposed to be doing before getting into it, and just with each new task you get a whole lot of information that tells you what you need to do and stuff, so there's no real need even for practicing, and so it just makes the first couple of nights really boring because it's super slow. As long as you know what you're doing and you're communicating it and inputting it properly, there's really nothing to do. But then once you get to the 5th night, you add on each night new things, and so it does start to become overwhelming at times, but I do like the challenge of stuff, and just memorizing all the different keys for different sounds that you hear and stuff like that is really fun, and the sound design overall is really well done for just recognizing what you need to do based off the sound. And the only other thing that I dislike about this game is how short it is. It is such a great concept and is really fun, and I get that adding more to each day, at some point you just can't add anymore because it just becomes way too overwhelming to have to memorize and recognize all of these different things. But the gameplay is just so fun. I wish that there was just more days, and maybe a new way of making things challenging while not being overwhelming somehow. And again, it would be a pretty tough task, but this game is so fun overall. I just wish there was more to it. And I guess the only other issue that I had with this game is there's not a whole lot of options to just change overall. There's a few PC settings you can tweak, but you can't change any keybinds. And there's, not a whole lot of keybinds to begin with, right? There's just moving. I think there's a sprint button and a zoom in button and an input button, and that's in a push to talk, but you can't change any of those buttons, which I really wish you could, but it's not that big of a deal. It's basic inputs for any basic game, so it's not horrible, but I do wish that you could change those. But yeah, I think by far the good outweighs the bad in this game. It is such a fun game. I do wish that there was more, but especially for the cheap price point that it is at baseline and is right now on sale due to the the Steam Autumn sale, it is such a great small game for the price that it's at. And even though there isn't a whole lot of gameplay, you definitely could get it done in 2 to 4 hours. The amount of just lore and stuff that they packed into this game is just really well done, and I just appreciate it. And I do think that if you do play this game, I recommend playing it both solo and co-op, because while it is the same gameplay, you'll get the different enemies and stuff in different orders and stuff like that, so you'll get a better feel of how the game plays overall in solo, and it just makes it that much more interesting to have these two different unique kind of gameplays while still being the same game. And I absolutely love the sound design in this game, and it's such an important tool, right? Because basically how each side thing works is you'll hear a sound, and then you'll have to react or do something because of that sound, and you just keep adding more sounds into the game and stuff like that. So to have each of those feel really unique and just kind of know what to do as soon as you hear it is really well done, just based off sound. But anyways, that's going to be it for me today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.